The morning sun fought its way through Lagos smoke and cloud, thin blades of light slicing across the chaos under Oshodi Bridge. Buses hissed, conductors barked, okadas roared. Life moved fast, but no one moved fast enough to notice the small figure curled beside the stinking refuse heap. Most people hurried on, but some stopped, moved by something in her voice. They left with lighter steps than they came. This morning felt different. A black Bentley glided out of the traffic like a shark through minnows and eased to the curb. The tinted window lowered. Inside sat David Okafor, once the youngest tech billionaire in Africa, now a ghost in white agbada, eyes sunken, face carved by grief. A year ago, a drunk truck driver on the Lekki-Ipe Expressway had taken his wife Gloria and their only son Matthew in one red second. The crash left David alive but paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors had run out of hope. David had run out of everything else. His driver had begged him to stay home. David only said, "Take me to the office, I don't know why. Just drive." "Stop, sir, stop the car." The driver killed the engine. Guards jumped out, unfolded the wheelchair. David was lifted into it, white agbada pooling like spilled milk on the dirty ground. Phones came out. Whispers rippled. "Rich man day come down for beggar." David wheeled himself forward alone. Her eyes red, swollen, ancient, met his. He stopped an arm's length away. "I know what it is to lose a whole life in one day," he said, voice raw from disuse. "My wife and son are gone. Doctors say these legs are finished. Money didn't save them, and it hasn't saved me." He looked at her torn wrapper, her bare cracked feet, the small nylon bag that held everything she owned. "I'm not here to give you charity. I'm here to ask you for help. Let me take care of you, the way I couldn't take care of them. Let me be the father you lost. And maybe, just maybe, you can be the daughter I'm still breathing for." The second the words left her mouth, David felt fire race through his dead legs. A gasp tore from his throat. His toes twitched, then his ankles, then feeling sharp, electric, impossible flooded upward like sunrise inside bone. He gripped the arms of the wheelchair, trembling. The crowd pressed closer. Slowly, impossibly, David pushed himself up, first to his knees in the dust, then, legs shaking like a newborn colt, to his full height. Silence fell under the bridge. Even the buses seemed to hush. David took one step. She was crying too hard to speak. He stood once more, lifted her clean off the ground, and turned to the stunned crowd. "This is my daughter," he declared, voice ringing clear across Oshodi. "Her name is Amanda Okafor, and today forward." Cameras flashed. People shouted. Some fell to their knees praising God. Others simply wept because Lagos had forgotten how to believe in miracles, and here was one happening in traffic fumes and refuse. David carried her to the Bentley himself, no wheelchair now. He set her gently on the leather seat, like she had only ever seen in movies. He climbed in beside her, closed the door, and the car pulled away. Fountains danced, palm trees swayed, the house gleamed white and impossible. David took her hand. "Welcome home, princess." Inside, the staff stood frozen in the marble hallway, mouths open at the sight of their boss walking, and the tiny girl in rags beside him. David didn't explain. He simply led her upstairs, past the quiet portraits of Gloria and Matthew smiling on the walls, and opened the door to his son's old room. Blue walls, airplane models still hanging from the ceiling. School books never opened again. "This room belongs to your son." David knelt on legs that had forgotten how to kneel, so their eyes were level. "My son would want someone who understands pain to sleep here. Someone gentle, someone brave. That someone is you." That night, after a bath, after new clothes, after a meal she was too overwhelmed to finish, "I think you sent me an angel who needed wings." Downstairs, David stood at the window, staring at nothing, tears sliding silently down his face. For the first time in a year, he was standing. For the first time in a year, he was not alone. And somewhere above the Lagos night, two mothers and two fathers, one pair in heaven, one pair beginning again on earth, smiled at the same impossible, perfect miracle. Love doesn't always come wearing shoes, and sometimes, when that prayer is answered, even the dead can walk again. "Welcome home, Daddy David." Auntie Bose dropped the newspaper on the cracked plastic table in her one-room face, Mia face, unajegunal, and stared at it for a long time. From under Oshodi Bridge to cockpit, 15-year-old Orphan tops aviation school entrance exam below it. Amanda hair now neatly braided, school uniform crisp, smile, shy but radiant, stood beside David Okafor, both of them laughing at something off camera. She remembered how the village people had gathered, pointing, whispering. She remembered how she herself had been the loudest. She had chased Amanda away with a broom, screaming that no evil child would sleep under her roof again. She had watched the girl, barely 12, walk away with nothing but the torn school uniform on her back and the small Bible her mother had pressed into her hand before the crash. Now that same witch was on the front page of Vanguard, smiling like the world had always been kind. Auntie Bose's chest burned with something between shame and hunger. First to the family WhatsApp group that had long deleted Amanda's late father's number. Then to the village in Delta State, where the elders who once declared the girl cursed, now sat under the mango tree arguing. Shocking, billionaire David Okafor adopts witch girl who allegedly killed her parents with juju, miracle or manipulation. The true story behind Oshodi Bridge girl. A few even demanded the girl be tested by prophets. That night, Amanda sat on the edge of her bed clutching her admission letter, tears falling silently. Then he said, "Do you know what a cockpit voice recorder is?" Amanda shook her head, sniffing. "It's a black box in every aircraft. It records everything, every word, every sound, even when the plane crashes. When investigators want to know the truth, they don't listen to rumors, they go to the box. The sky doesn't need permission from the ground to be blue." Amanda looked up at him, eyes still wet but fierce now. "I'm not ashamed of where I came from," she whispered. "I'm only ashamed of the people who forgot where love lives." David smiled, proud and fierce. The next morning, David called a press conference, not in a hotel ballroom, but under Oshodi Bridge, the exact spot where everything had changed. Reporters gathered, expecting a scandal. Instead, they got a miracle in daylight. David stood, no wheelchair in sight, with Amanda beside him in her new aviation cadet uniform. He didn't shout, he simply spoke. 3 years ago, some people called this child a witch and chased her away from her family home. Today, she has the highest aviation entrance score in West Africa. Tomorrow, she will fly planes carrying hundreds of passengers safely across the sky. If that is witchcraft, he smiled, then may Nigeria be cursed with more of it. The cameras flashed like lightning. Then David did something no one expected. He stepped aside and let Amanda take the microphone. She was shaking, but her voice didn't waver. "My name is Amanda Okafor," she began. "Today, I say thank you to those people. Because the day you chased me away with brooms and curses, you pushed me straight into the arms of a father who taught me that love is stronger than fear. I am not a witch, I am a survivor. And one day, when I am a captain, I will fly over this same bridge every single day, and I will pray the same prayer I prayed when I had nothing. As you help someone carry their sorrow today, may God carry yours tomorrow." She looked straight into the cameras. "I forgive you all. Now watch me fly." The crowd erupted. Some cheered, some wept. A few, including Auntie Bose, watching on television in Ajugunal, bowed their heads in shame. Years later, when Captain Amanda Okafor became the youngest female captain in Nigerian aviation history, the story was no longer about a miracle under a bridge. It was about a girl who refused to let other people's fear write the end of her story, and about a broken man who learned, because of her, that sometimes the greatest healing in the world is simply choosing to become family to someone the world threw away. On the day of her first solo flight as captain, Amanda taxied past the control tower, looked down at the city, and spoke quietly into her headset so only the co-pilot could hear. "This one is for every child still sleeping under a bridge, for every father who thinks hope is finished, and for the man who taught me that wings are not given. They are grown in the places where love refuses to let you fall." Then she pulled back on the throttle, and the plane rose clean, powerful, unstoppable, into the wide Nigerian sky. Somewhere far below, under Oshodi Bridge, a new little girl in rags looked up at the silver bird cutting through the clouds, and heard, for the first time in her life, the sound of possibility, and she whispered the prayer she had just learned from a passing stranger, "As you help me carry my sorrow today." The rest, she already knew, would take care of itself. Because in Lagos, miracles don't always come with thunder. Sometimes they come barefoot, holding a small Bible, praying for strangers who still have tears left to cry. And sometimes, just sometimes, those strangers turn out to be angels learning how to walk again. The end. No, beloved, just the beginning. Captain Amanda is in the sky tonight, and somewhere, A billionaire who once couldn't stand is smiling up at the stars, whispering, "Thank you for stopping, my daughter. Thank you for teaching me how to fly." It starts in the dust and refuse under Oshodi Bridge, a place that has swallowed thousands of dreams, and ends with a young woman in a captain's stripes, holding her own daughter, while the man who became her father weeps tears of gratitude. That journey from which two wings is powerful because it refuses to skip the pain. Every scar is named. The lies, the stolen inheritance, the broom that chased a 12-year-old into the night, the nights she slept in abandoned Danfo buses, the whispers that tried to kill her spirit long after the crash failed to kill her body. Yet the story never becomes bitter. It chooses forgiveness without cheapening justice. It chooses love without ignoring consequences. There are moments that will stay with me forever. The second Amanda's small, dirty hand touched David's head, and his dead legs remembered they were alive. The press conference under the same bridge, turning the place of shame into the place of coronation. The quiet, devastating line David gives her. The sky doesn't need permission from the ground to be blue. And finally, the image of Amanda walking past Chief Namdi in handcuffs without even looking at him, because some victories don't need words, only altitude. This is not just a rags to riches tale. It is a resurrection story twice over. A man who was emotionally and physically paralyzed learns to walk again. And a girl declared dead by her own people learns to fly. It reminds us that miracles are often disguised as broken people who still have the courage to pray for strangers. My view, this is the kind of story Nigeria needs right now. When the headlines are heavy with corruption and despair, Amanda's story says, even under the bridge, even inside the lie, even after the burial, life can still happen, love can still land, wings can still grow. I am crying and smiling at the same time, the way only the best African tales make us do. Thank you for letting me walk this journey with Amanda, with David, with little Adana, who will never know what a bridge floor feels like. From my heart in Lagos tonight, surrounded by the hum of generators and the smell of rain on hot concrete, I salute the storyteller who wrote this, and the first salute, Captain Amanda Okofa. May her story keep lifting every child sleeping rough tonight. May every David still stuck in a wheelchair, literal or emotional, find their Amanda. And may every Amanda still whispering prayers in the dark remember, the sky is waiting, and it has kept a seat with your name on it since the day you were born. This one hit deep, pure light. Now it's your turn, family. Which city carried this story into your heart tonight? Drop your location below so we can map how far Amanda's wings have already flown. That same year, Amanda was promoted to captain on the Lagos-London route, one of the youngest women in Africa to command a wide-body jet. On her first flight as captain to Heathrow, the cabin crew did something no one expected. After the seatbelt sign went off, the chief purser walked down the aisle with a small silver tray. On it sat a single cupcake with one candle. She stopped at seat 2A, where David sat in his usual quiet way, pretending to read a newspaper. "Captain Okafor requests the honor of your presence in the cockpit, sir," she said with a smile. David's eyes widened. Passengers turned, curious. He walked the length of the plane, no cane, no limp, while everyone watched in respectful silence. When he stepped into the cockpit, Amanda unbuckled, stood, and saluted him. "Permission to speak freely, sir." David laughed, tears already coming. "Granted, Captain." She handed him the headset. "Today is the anniversary of the day you found me under Oshodi Bridge. I thought my father should fly with me on the anniversary." "Your throne, Daddy." David sat, hands shaking as he put on the headset. Amanda took the left seat, looked over at him, and spoke into the intercom so the entire plane could hear. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. 20 years ago, a billionaire in a wheelchair stopped under a bridge and picked up a beggar girl everyone called a witch. Today, that girl is your captain, and that billionaire is sitting right here beside me, alive, walking, and crying like a baby." Laughter and applause filled the cabin. "On behalf of both of us, thank you for flying with us today. And if you ever feel life has pushed you under a bridge, look up. The sky is still there, and sometimes it sends a Bentley." David couldn't speak. He just reached over and squeezed her hand as the A330 thundered down the runway and lifted into the Nigerian sunrise. Somewhere below, Lagos glittered like scattered diamonds. Above, two broken people who had become each other's miracle flew side by side, 35,000 feet closer to God than they had ever been. And in the cabin, An old woman in economy class wiped her eyes and whispered the prayer she had learned from a little girl long ago. As you help someone carry their sorrow today, may God carry yours tomorrow. The prayer traveled at 900 kilometers per hour across the Atlantic, carried by a plane captained by the girl who once had nothing but that prayer. And somewhere, under every bridge in every city, children sleeping rough looked up at the contrail cutting the sky and, for the first time, believed tomorrow could be kind. Because Captain Amanda had promised them, silently, every time she flew overhead, "I was you. Watch me. Your wings are coming." The story never ends. It only climbs. Clear skies and tailwinds forever. Captain Amanda Okafor. And to the father, who never let her fall, Mr. David Oak, the man who proved that the richest thing a human being can own is another human being's hope. From cruising altitude tonight, with love from 37,000 feet. Now, family. Which city is flying with us tonight? Drop your location. Let's paint the world with this story, one contrail at a time.